Give me a camera to flirt with, an Oscar, I deserve it. The lights, the fame, the press, this game I play it every day.
And hello everyone, it is Pt.7, the narrow gauge engine here, and across my 5-year stretch, I've made some pretty good bangers, I think. I like a good chunk of the videos I've made. I've been happy with the final outcome, and I'm glad that you guys have too. It was 5 years younger. I was just a kid with a phone and a dream, and now I'm kind of a more put together operation with, you know, multiple things going on, high quality software, and being trained in industry standard techniques. And I have this channel, and more importantly, you guys, to thank for that. There are some of my videos though that I look back on and I think, damn, that was pretty good. And those range heavily from my ranking videos to episodes of Locomotives, and I'm here to break down the 10 best of them for this video before the story collection tomorrow. So without further ado, let's delve on in. Number 10, the viewer ranking videos. Yes, this is definitely cheating. Do I care? No. This series didn't last long, only for 3 episodes, before people didn't engage with the Google Forms that sort of were the basis for my entire production of those videos. And you know, there's part of me that is kind of glad about that, because the pre-filming process was a bit of a nightmare. I didn't have that in an organised way at all. I very much did a lot of things manually, and it was very much not a tight operation as it could have been. And of course, this isn't me blaming anyone for this. It was my bad process that really muddled things for myself. But, you know, sometimes people would accidentally put, you know, the same episode in 2 different spots because they weren't keeping up with their own thing. And then someone even, like, submitted the exact same ranking twice immediately after each other under 2 different accounts and then hoped I wouldn't notice. I did notice. But the reason these videos are on the list is because of how discussion-based they were. I got to talk about other people's opinions instead of my own, and that was kind of refreshing for me. It also helped that I got to bring on some of the most wonderful guests, who I am truly grateful for joining me, and having a grand old time with them. If I could do it with other seasons, I would have, but I think there is some boredom in seeing just another ranking video, except 2 people are umming and ahhing about how Thomas and Trevor ended up below Percy in the Signal or some bollocks like that. I would like to continue this series, but I'd need the numbers, so if you'd like an eventual return, please leave a comment below telling me so, or if not, I can just go away and say I can fuck off, it's fine. I'm alright. Number 9, The Mysteries of Misty Island. A more recent video, and one that is definitely a bit more out there, but I loved making it and putting my theory out there, especially since not really anyone, aside from the Thomas Cynic, but by then I was well underway with making it, had covered it. And even so, I don't think anyone had made a video tackling it in a way that I had before, and I think it was definitely the most creative video I had made within 2025, and I put a lot of effort into it as far as fact-checking, connecting the dots to make one coherent timeline. It wasn't perfect. I think it was actually far from perfect. I think one of the biggest holes in that video is Sir Topham Hatt and how he plays into everything, and whether he just like suddenly got amnesia out of nowhere and forgetting about that tunnel. But it was a genuine effort, and that's what I really appreciated, that it sort of came out of the final product that you could tell. It was also meant that I got to use my new sick-ass editing software in a more creative way, so there is that. It's rather underviewed in my opinion, if I do say so myself. So after this video, if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a while and you'd like to see it again, I'd appreciate it very much if you gave it a quick watch. It's only 10 minutes long, so it's not really taking up too much of your day. You can just have it on in the background, or you don't have to. I don't know what I'm doing. Number 8, TTTE in a nutshell, Season 8. Realistically, all of the nutshell videos could be in this spot, and I'd have zero problem with that. But I don't really want to overbend the limitations of a top 10 list, especially considering that there are going to be more entries coming up where I do bend it. I bend it quite a lot. Yeah, people call me Beckham, because that's how I bend it. So, yeah, I didn't really want to overbend the idea of a top 10, so I just went through and watched some of them quickly, and I think Season 8 is my favourite one of these. It's just the one that made me laugh the most upon rewatch. The Nutshell series in general is something quite unique that I've created, and even if some or all of the entries don't really make sense to you, because that, to be fair, that's, yeah. I hope they at least gave you a chuckle. That was the goal, and if I completed it in your opinion, that's all that matters to me. And the one that did this the most is Season 8's one, so I put it here on the list, but realistically, it could be any of them. Number 7, the Secret Island reaction videos. My reaction video series, though short-lived, was quite a fun time as well. It allowed me to just crack a few jokes and provide some light-hearted piss-taking. The best of these videos, though, was my two-parter on the Secret Island, one of my personal favourite Thomas and Friends fan films because of how batshit insane it is. It made me laugh, it made me so utterly confused, and it gave me a cause for some absolute banger lines for me to come up with. Again, possibly a bit underviewed in my opinion. If you'd like to give it a watch, I truly would appreciate it. Number 6, Locomotives, Season 2, Episode 1, Scrap. I think some people have been waiting for a Locomotives episode or two to appear, and I'm happy to grant that wish. Locomotives itself was a fusion between your typical soap opera or TV drama, both of which is a genre I've fell out of love with recently, and Thomas and Friends, and I think that crossover worked quite well because of the inherent realism that is in Thomas and Friends anyway. For 2 seasons and a spin-off, there was this pure labour of love that I put in, and that love never shined brighter with me than the most shocking episodes, which Season 2 Episode 1, titled Scrap, isn't. The reason I love this episode so much is because I did have that pure joy making it, because I was, away from the project for about 6 months, and going back into the swing of something that you know again, it was just enjoyable, and it helps a lot that the episode itself was more lighthearted and funny, and it deviated a lot more from that drab tone, and I think it worked. We got Percy and Terence and their connection reaching further. We got Bulstrode's cringy advances towards Emily and how that worked out for him. Hell, we even got the introduction of the show's first true villain in Diesel. A lot happens in this one whilst being whimsically entertaining, and whilst it isn't anywhere near what I'd consider the best episode from Season 2, it sure is my favourite. Number 5, the Ranking Every Railway Series Story Saga. Another two-parter, and technically I should be picking one of them, not both, but I don't care. These 2 videos would have been one if I had the data capacity at the time, so I think it counts. But this one, again, was a pure labour of love, and it took me fucking forever. It felt like I was climbing this massive mountain made up of railway series stories, and once I got to the end of Chris's books, I'd reached the top, with my descent being the final full list. I enjoyed doing the format, I enjoyed providing thoughts on each story, and I enjoyed how much it did for my channel. I felt like that video, and another one I'll be bringing up, gave me a new surge of subscribers, and to those people I'm grateful you stuck around. And to everyone who watched both of these videos in full, I really thank you ever so much. I am so grateful that you managed to stick through it, and I hope I managed to keep your attention for long enough to where it didn't get boring. Number 4, my top 10 worst hit-hour episodes. Bit of a rogue choice for this one, but I think I really enjoyed making this one, simply because I feel like the Pt.7 IP mascot is so synonymous with having a little rant and generally being a bit angry. I'm not saying I'm just that, but I feel like that's when the comedy aspect of my sort of performance shines through the most, and this video really allowed me to just sort of go all out on some truly bad hit-hour episodes which aren't push me pull you. Yeah, after looking at it again, I think this episode should have qualified for this list, and whilst I don't think it would scrape the top 5, not including it was a bit poor from me. Even if there are still worse Season 12 episodes, I enjoyed those top 10 best and worst episodes from classic Hit and Brenner, but I think this was my favourite. Number 3, Locomotives, Season 1, Episode 7, titled Guilt. This one just had to be on the list, and I've already talked a lot about this episode before, so I'll keep it brief, but essentially, this episode was the sort of swan song for the first season of Locomotives, if you will. It had raw emotions and brilliant voice acting that I'm truly grateful that people participated in, and I think narratively it is just super strong. The whole plot is centred around the aftermath of that bomb in a truck hitting Rosie. People who haven't watched that episode are going to hear this with zero context and be like, what the fuck? And whether she can recover or be rebuilt, as well as Thomas's state following. Can he let go, or will he stay determined and hopeful that his lover will awaken? Does this episode make a whole lot of sense? No, it's one of those things I like least when it comes to this series, to be honest. I think this series actually makes fuck all sense sometimes, and this episode is an example, well, and the end of the last episode, Mainspring, examples of that. But does it get away with it where other episodes wouldn't? I think it absolutely does, because I think this arc for Thomas in particular is what makes Season 1 so magical and so good, and I think this episode revels in that arc. Now I suppose the question is, will I ever go back to locomotives in the future? And I think with the current state of the channel as it is, with me frankly still kind of wanting to make videos here, but having life be a constant obstacle in that path, and making it harder and harder, I truly don't know. I would like to, I have ideas, I had a whole script for some of the episodes that I had. It's just, is this a mountain too high? So, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm not saying hold your breath, essentially. Number 2, the re-ranked saga. Another huge saga for my channel, and I know it's quite frankly ridiculous that I'm not picking just one video out of the bunch, so for anyone who's mad at me for that, just consider like season 4 as the one that this falls under. So like technically it's season 4, but not really, because they're all sort of the same. To be honest, I love ranking things. It's one of my favourite types of videos to make. Especially when, you know, I look at the comments and, you know, people are comparing their lists with mine and sort of interacting with the video in that way. It's just nice to see a bunch of sharing of opinions with a bunch of people that are willing to listen. It's heartwarming and inclusive fun that I lived for back in the day, and I, as I said, I still do. I love watching, for example, the Ginger Engines ranking series he's doing, and I even watch rankings for other shows I like, such as like The Walking Dead, Hell's Kitchen, Inside Number 9. Ranking videos are fun and my favourite thing to do, and this kind of leans into this entry and my favourite video I've ever made, and probably one that will continue to be my favourite until the end. Number 1 is ranking every Thomas and Friends special from worst to best. Even when I decided that I was going to do this one, I knew it was probably going to end up being one of my favourites. I just love this video so much. It was the first one where I broke out of my then traditional style and did things differently with the edit and the format and everything. I got to talk about my absolute favourite aspect of the franchise, which made my childhood, and I got to see new parts of the show that I hadn't seen before, and parts I've been wanting to see for a long time. I had pure passion and drive to appreciate everything I was doing and make the video as good as I could, for the time at least. If I remade it now, I think it would be far different in both style and substance. This is also a video where I think I still agree with my opinions for the most part. I don't think I'd actually put Tale of the Brave nearly as high anymore. I think it's actually quite mid nowadays, and I'd swap its placement with The Great Discovery, because that shit goes incredibly hard. So, you know, it's all the same, apart from, like, I'd put Tale 6th and Discovery 3rd. Yay. Still both great ones with a lot to offer, though. As is the video that I made in general, I think. I think I'm actually quite charming, strong with my critiques, and knowledgeable at the subject matter at hand in a way that I wasn't before. And it shows, as it's like my 3rd most watched video of all time, behind TTTE train chases, but with running in the 90s, and they're now partially blocked Fireman Sam video, both of which are old, outdated, and kind of boring, but hey ho, I'll take it. These views are better than no views, and I'm sure some of you found me through them, so who am I to be a prude on my own content? And that's it really. I thank you all for watching, and tomorrow is, as you may have seen, the premiere for the story collection video, so be sure to check in and say hello in the live chat. I know I'll be there. 6 amazing stories with a voice cast who, if you have watched them, you know that they're insane. They're a great bunch of people. There's a whole, you know, sort of remade intro for it, some songs at the end to enjoy. Like, there's a lot to it, and I think that anyone who is a Thomas fan is going to enjoy this in one way or another. All of that tomorrow, so be there or be Toby. Anyway, I've been Pt.7, you've been you, and I'm off to watch my specials ranking video once more. Bye-bye.